So just go to our website, johnfredericksradio.com, or any of our social media at JF Radio Show. You want to participate in that? We have 11 candidates on it, so you can rank them in order, because as you guys know, I'm a believer in ranked choice for primaries, not for general. But we want to get a sense of where people are right now. We're trying to get to about 10,000 respondents, so just respond there. We don't capture your name or your email. We're not going to send you a salad or anything like that. It's all anonymous, but you got to go on there, make your choice known, make your voice heard. And some of the early results we've had have been very, very interesting. Just go to johnfredericksradio.com or any of my social media at JF Radio Show and go ahead and vote in that straw poll. We would really appreciate it. Ox, you and I have been in the Iowa caucuses. I mean, I was there. Santorum, Romney, don't even remember when that is. Gingrich was in there, got beat. We were there for Trump in 2016. We were there in 2020, right? Were we there in 2020?
No, that's correct.
No,
there was no 2020.
Oh, no, I was there in 2020 for the Democrats. That was Pete Buttigieg and whatever.
I may have missed that one.
Yeah, you missed that. That was I remember we had
I was downtown drinking when you were doing that.
We actually had Tulsi Gabbard on our bus. And the Andrew Yang.
Oh, yeah.
So we were there for
dynamic, very exciting
12, 16. Wanted to give everybody $1,000, and we ended up doing it anyway. 2012, 16, 20, 24, obviously we were there. So go to 28. I believe that the winner of Iowa is going to, one, be the nominee, and two, is going to be the person who takes the mantle for MAGA, one way or the other. So I think Iowa takes on a bigger importance than ever coming up. And Iowa's are going to choose the nominee, and they're going to choose who takes the mantle. So that's how big this is. I'm going to start with Chris McGowan. So we're only 2 years out. You and I have talked about coming here in the 2-year midterm forever.
Yeah, been talking. We finally did it. This is great.
Finally, we did it.
Thanks to these fellas.
Yeah.
Coming out.
So you look at 2016, and I was there for part of the Trump effort in 2016. We really had no organization. Ted Cruz won that. Rubio was third in that. They had an organization. Cruz's organization was unbelievable. And he went to all these counties, and he got the evangelicals, and he got the vote out, and he defeated us there. We didn't really have an organization. We had a helicopter. But we've got Cruz at our DC GOP. We actually do have a party reception March 11th, and he's going to be in DC as our featured speaker at our Lincoln Douglas reception. And he's running for president. He won last time, McGowan. What do you see his chances in 2028?
So we're fans of Senator Cruz. However, it's worth noting Senator Cruz has a great background. I believe he did his undergrad at Princeton. He was a national debate champion as an undergrad at Princeton. He went on to study law at Harvard. I believe he clerked for Chief Justice Rehnquist. So clearly a brilliant individual. The headwind that Senator Cruz is going to have to confront in Iowa in 2028 is his position on former Iowa Ag Secretary Bill Northey. God rest his soul, Bill's deceased. But Bill was serving as the Secretary of Agriculture in the state of Iowa. President Trump asked him to come and be part of USDA in an undersecretary capacity. And that required Senate confirmation, and Senator Ted Cruz blocked that for about 6 months.
Wow.
And so Senator Cruz is going to have to respond to Iowans for why he blocked our ag secretary from joining the Trump administration. I think we know the answer. That's a battle between ethanol and oil. And ethanol's very important to Iowa. And Don Cass, right here with us, has a certain amount of expertise on that as a farmer, as an agriculturalist, as an elected official. And as we said, he was a Trump elector in the Electoral College on 2 different occasions. But yeah, Senator Cruz is going to have some tough questions to answer when he arrives in the state of Iowa leading up to the 28 caucuses.
So Don Cass, is that going to be the end of Ted Cruz in Iowa?
I tend to think it is, yes. I don't think he'll even try it in Iowa. And I give credit to President Trump in this second term making a priority to have E15 year round all across the nation. So it's
And E15 is ethanol.
Ethanol, yes, ethanol. 15% of your what goes into your tank, and every car built after I think it's like 2002 will take that, and it's perfectly fine for your engine. But that's huge for the corn farmers out here in Iowa.
So he's got to answer the fact that he blocked your nominee for Undersecretary of Agriculture in order to appease his oil.
And that's correct. And if you knew Bill Northey, Bill Northey was one of the nicest, most well-regarded Iowans that I can remember. He was just a great guy, and everybody just loved him. He was perhaps up until that point, and Mike Naga's current Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, who was also a great guy. But Bill Northey was the gold standard for secretaries of ag anywhere. He was just a great guy. So that's not going to help Ted Cruz.
He's not going to fly again.
He ain't going to fly.
He's not going to win
No.
again.
He's just gonna. Let's not be premature and say he's not gonna fly. But he's gonna have to. He'll be asked about that, and he has to be prepared to respond to that. We'll never say never, but that he's gonna battle a stiff headwind out of the gate because he blocked our Secretary of Agriculture and President Trump's appointee. President Trump nominated him. Eventually, he got him to the USDA as an undersecretary, but it was after 6 months of delay at the behest of Senator Cruz, who I'm sure was acting in the interest of his constituency in Texas. And that's politics.
You have to remember what did then candidate Trump call Ted Cruz? What was his nickname?
Lion Ted.
And I've met Ted Cruz. He's a great guy. I want him on the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
But,
he's a very effective senator, and he's carrying in the Senate my favorite bill in the history of all bills ever written in the Senate, ever in the Republic, which is the AM radio in every car bill, which Ted has been on our team for that, and they keep telling me it's finally going to come up for a vote. But that's my favorite bill in history. Hupke, let's get to you. You've been involved in this thing, 2016. Trump, you got him with the wrestling guy and the whole thing. A lot of people saying J.D. Vance, but a lot of people I've talked to here, I'm not sure J.D. Vance is a done deal today.
Right.
What are you hearing? What can happen here?
Well, I don't hear as much conversation on that, just because we are so focused on defending ICE and supporting the president's agenda. My sense is that what Rubio's done over the course of the last year to support the president's agenda, to articulate and be that spokesperson, he's done a fantastic job, and he's shown himself to be that guy that can voice and be strong, especially when he's in his hearings. And so when you see him before Congress taking on these senators and their snarkiness, you just kind of jump back and think, wow, this guy's pretty solid. And now, having said that, I think he's made himself more formidable when it comes to like a head-to-head with Vance. And I guess the prayers that the powers that be that I talk to would just they want to see these guys work it out and get along and not go at each other, just simply because they like both of them, and they want to see both of them in the process.
So then the question becomes, we like them both, right? Nobody wants to see a blood. I don't think there's going to be a bloodbath. I think whoever wins Iowa is going to be the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
You win Iowa, you're going to win New Hampshire. It's not like it was where then you can lose Iowa, you go to New Hampshire. Iowa's it. I am firmly believe that this time it's you win New Hampshire, you're the nominee. Now it's you in Iowa. I think it's very 2028 specific. So here's the thing. You get to the general, you look at these two candidates, both are MAGA, right? Both would do the same thing. You got to ask yourself, who's more electable? Who do you think?
Today,
Dan.
J.D. Vance, because of how he carries himself.
Colonel Miller.
Toss up, but I would lean just a little bit toward Rubio at this point. And I wouldn't have said that a year ago.
McGowan.
Way too early to say. And it's not just going to be Vice President J.D. Vance or Secretary Rubio. There are an awful lot of people in the wings. that are waiting and that will descend upon Iowa. And at the end of the day, this is about retail politics. You have to get to Iowa. You have to come and you have to shake hands. You have to look people in the eye. You have to visit diners, and you have to visit grain mills, and you have to talk to farmers, and you have to talk to teachers. And the individual that makes that commitment. You know, John, we talked about this at dinner last night. Chuck Laudner's not able to be with us today. Chuck Laudner was Trump's earliest hire in Iowa. Chuck Laudner was responsible for bringing Chris Hupke to the Trump team. He's responsible for bringing Colonel Brian Miller to the Trump team. He drove Rick Santorum around the state of Iowa in the Chuck truck.
He won that caucus single-handedly.
I believe that was in 2012.
Yep.
And so retail politics matters, and that's why I say it's too early to make this call.
The guy that I think could be a crazy wild card here, because I came to see how he would resonate, is Glenn Youngkin. I mean, when he came, now he's got really problems now because he left Virginia in basically a wasteland. But he came to your Iowa Republican dinner thingy.
So Glenn Youngkin spoke to the Republican Party of Iowa dinner. I'm going to guess that was about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I was there. He was good.
I was there as well. And he's a very imposing individual. He stands about, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". So he's even taller than I thought. Delightful person. Talked about what he accomplished in a blue state through legislative effort, cooperation, collaboration, communication. And I think at the end of the day, Glenn Youngkin is going to be a factor as well. And that's why I say it's just way too early to make this call.
Did he wrestle?
I don't think that
No, he
Glenn
played
Youngkin
basketball.
wrestled. At 6'6", I'm sure he was
He played college
a basketball
basketball, if I
player.
remember.
Yeah, he
But,
played college basketball. He was he didn't play back to the basket. I mean, he could handle the ball.
He
was a power
was
forward.
impressive.
He was a power forward. But I went there. I went because he was governor, and I'm in D.C., and I went there specifically in my own dime, had no agenda. I just wanted to see how Iowans reacted to him at that dinner. And the reaction was a 10. I mean, I came away and I called La Savita, and I'm like, hey, dude, you're writing it because he's doing Vance. You're writing this dude off. I mean, if you saw what I saw, this guy connected. And he's going to go to these 99 counties. And he's going to go to the diners. And he's going to go to your farm things. And he's going to go to the machine shop or the machine shed.
but so is Vice President Vance. And
He doesn't have the time for that.
Vice President Vance will be campaigning in Iowa, and he will be talking about his own
But
background
it's not going to be retail.
Hold on. As a Marine, as a graduate of Ohio State,
Vance
as
has a
someone
great
who
story.
put himself through school at Yale, J.D. Vance has an incredibly impressive story, and I think that what you can expect, and John, your national audience, I would like to understand that Iowans take the caucuses very, very seriously. We do our homework. We show up. We listen to them. We study their biographies and their experience and the expertise that they bring. And what we're looking for is someone who has that resume, who has the education, the experience, the leadership ability, and the ideology and philosophy that we know will make America great again. And that's why I say it's just way too early.
Well, but that's what we're here talking about it, so we can drive the narrative.
That's exactly
Can-
right.
Can I comment on that just for a second? J.D. Vance being the sitting vice president comes with a security detail that's roughly a Marine division. In Iowa, that precludes you from doing the machine shed, the diner, because you're,
Well, wait a minute, Don. I disagree. It doesn't preclude it.
well, it doesn't preclude it, but
President
you
Trump-
can't do it on the scale that Ted Cruz and others have done it.
Perhaps, but it does require additional security. But President Trump was at a machine shed 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
Yeah, but
in Iowa.
you guys planned
But
it 2 weeks ahead of time.
No,
shut
it
down-
requires a
you
lot
shut-
of work. But
The flip
you shut
side of
down
it,
the roads. I mean, look, he's not going to go to a diner and shake hands at 7 a.m. with people having eggs before they're going to the farm. He's not going to be able to do that. I'm not saying it's going to hurt him. That's just a reality.
The other
He
thing,
can't do it.
But
the
wait a
other thing
minute.
about Vance is the way that he carries himself.
Yes.
I think he has a stature about him. His story is great, as Chris mentioned, and I think Iowans connect with that. He has a unique ability to be the common man's guy, and I think that's really interesting. On top of that, the way he composes and presents himself as presidential is inspiring, and he's serious. That's why I think he leads in most of the polling.
And I would say this: let's look back to Ronald Reagan, elected in '80, reelected in '84, and he passed the mantle to George W. Bush. It's not impossible for a vice president to come out and campaign in
It's
retail
only happened
politics.
3 times in history.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, I think J.D. Vance will be here. He will be campaigning. Yes, he will have the additional burden of having a security detail, which is going to prevent some of the retail politics. But let's also recognize that he's going to be formidable. He's the Vice President of the United States. He's a former United States Senator. He's a graduate of Yale Law School. He's been successful in every endeavor. He's a military veteran. And Iowans are going to look for a resume like that, coupled with an ability to lead.
Rubio's got that resume one up. So, and he finished 3rd here last time. He had a pretty good campaign here.
Listen, Secretary Rubio is going to be formidable as well, but I think that anybody that precludes Vice President Vance is making a terrible miscalculation.
Well,
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a done deal.
I agree. We agree on that.
Yeah,
We said this is way too early.
And I don't disagree with anything the two Chris's here said. When I talked about it being a retail disadvantage, there was a flip side to that. Years ago, President Bush came to my county seat, Lamar's. And the security entourage was, like I say, it was practically a Marine division. We had Black Hawk helicopters circling our town. People talked about that for 6 weeks. When events like that happen in Iowa, and the vice president comes to your town, people are talking about that for 6 weeks. And to add to what Mr. Hupke said, J.D. Vance is a young, good-looking guy whose wife's about to have another baby. There's sort of a JFK and Jackie era to that. They're a good-looking young couple. They're Mrs. Vance is graceful, a professional in her own right, very successful in her own right. I think, as Chris said, the way the two of them carry themselves is a big advantage in Iowa too.
And I do believe that service in uniform, as an enlisted Marine, is an advantage to Vice President J.D. Vance. And I'm going to defer to Miller about that. Colonel Miller spent 3 decades in military uniform, and I think that members of our armed forces look at that service and respect it.
Well, where the military, I think, plays, as I said earlier, the Iowa Army National Guard and Air National Guard spent a large part of the last 15 years deployed, and they're in every little community throughout Iowa. So I think having a service background helps. But like you've all said, it's still awfully early, and we'll see what history.
Yeah, we also don't know
years.
we don't know what Rubio's going to do. I mean, they're friends. Obviously, I don't think this will happen. But the dream scenario is they get together and run as a ticket. I don't see that happening either. But that would be the dream scenario. Let's get Ox involved here, Ox. We got this straw poll going. By the way, participate in this poll. Just go to johnfredericksradio.com. It's up there on our site. You can also get to it on social media. We want you to vote in it. Saxman's partnering with me on this, putting it together. He's got all the tabulations going. Shared some stuff last night that was fascinating. Go ahead.
About the team, or about the one of the things that strikes.
What do you think is going to happen?
What strikes me about Rubio and Vance, it's been a really long time, if you think about it, since we've had a president that can form full sentences and just talk off the cuff, right? I don't know what would it have been. Clinton was pretty good like that.
Yeah.
Obama couldn't do it without a teleprompter, right? GW couldn't do it to save his life. And certainly Biden, right? And now
George H. couldn't do it either.
Now you got Donald Trump that just speaks in a different language. When you see J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio talk, they look at you and they talk and they don't hem and ha and and they know exactly what they're saying, and they cover every single thing they want to cover. Reminds me of Tim Pawlenty. Our governor, Tim Pawlenty, was just like that. He could come up and he could make a speech with no cue cards. I asked him one time, how do you do this? And he just does it. He covers every single item. Whenever I speak, I forget something. If I'm in front of a crowd, like I'll talk about something and I'll forget something I wanted to talk about. So with those two characters, we could have a new thing. Tulsi's kind of like that too. She gets up there and talks about what's on her mind. There's no hesitation. She's got clear thought, clear articulation. But I've got as long as we're talking about the team, the Rubio Vance ticket would be really interesting. But like in Minnesota anyway, I think it's like you have to pick a female lieutenant governor. Or if you're going to be a female governor, you got to pick a male, lieutenant governor, right? Candidate. Like it has to be co-ed. Are we at that point in the country? Like
I don't think so. I don't think Republicans are.
Yeah, and so we're not quite there yet for some reason, but we're almost there in Minnesota. It's a foregone conclusion that you're not going to have two guys or two gals running. So in the U.S., so if it's not obligatory, why not a Rubio Vance ticket, right?
That would be a done deal, right?
Exactly.
I think in Iowa, we're looking for the most qualified people to serve, regardless of their gender, right? We have Governor Kim Reynolds serving. We have Senator Joni Ernst serving. We had Governor Terry Branstad prior to Governor Kim Reynolds. I think Iowa is reflective of the country as a whole, at least on the Republican side.
Democrats don't think so.
I said on the Republican side, and we're looking for the most qualified person. We can look across the pond and look at the great job that Margaret Thatcher did as the leader of Great Britain. We're very, very open-minded about these things. And so there's going to be an opportunity. And I want to assure all of the candidates who are thinking about running for president that they should come to Iowa. We're going to welcome you in Iowa. Iowans are going to turn out. They're going to do their homework. They want to learn about you. They want to meet you. They want to understand what you bring to the table, what your vision for this great country is. And I can assure you, in Iowa 4, we're going to do everything we can to be open and accessible to all these candidacies.
We got to do the full Grassley, right? Every one of them.
Yeah, we got to go to 99 counties, and you and I are going to be back here, no doubt.
I can't do 90. I can't do the full Grassley. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe
we can do 3 of them. Let's get.
Just make sure you come to Plymouth
we're
County.
a call-in show, so we're going to end with a caller, and we're going to end here. We got another couple of minutes, but before I end, McGowan, you're the candidate, but so I don't run out of time. People want to get in touch with you, follow you. Where do they go?
We'd love to hear from you, and we have a website, McGowanforIowa.com, and you can see our policy positions. You can see who's endorsed our campaign. We're delighted to have the President of the United States endorse us. We're grateful to the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the Majority Whip Tom Emmer from up in Ox's backyard. We also have former Governor Terry Branstad, who was also the ambassador to China in the first Trump administration, and then legendary wrestler Dan Gable, a whole bunch of local folks. We're delighted to have the support of all of these folks. But if you visit McGowanforIowa.com, you can learn a lot more about us. Shoot us an email. We're delighted to connect.
Thank you, Chris. All right, let's end with a phone call. Adrian in Richmond, Virginia, line 2. Adrian, you're live.
John, I'll be quick. I know these guys are running out of time here. I think all these guys have good points, and they're all kind of walking the fence with respectfully. Like I said, we don't know who's going to be there. But the guys who are on Vance's side from the jump, and I'm not, they can change their mind. I'm not hitting them hard, but you know how I do it. I'm hearing they want to go back to the status quo. I want a nice-looking guy with his wife. I want somebody who's going to be military. Everything that President Trump isn't, they want to go back to the opposite. That's what I'm hearing. And this is why I can't understand some of these folks when they come and, say they want to back a certain candidate from the jump like that, when all they want, to me, is go back to the status quo. Didn't you go to a state recently, I think Iowa or somewhere else, where they said, no, MAGA's gone, it's over with? That's what some of these cats want. We got to have a fighter. I think Rubio's the guy for now. That could change. But I think Rubio's the guy who's willing to fight and continue the Trump Make America Great agenda. If you don't have that number one on your stat, I don't think Vance does. We got to forget, Vance did critique President Trump a while back, and we forgave him. We moved on, so we'll wash our hands of it, so let it go. But he did do it. I'm not 100% sold that Vance is a true Republican, but we're gonna. That's my opinion, one man's opinion. So that's what I'm gonna leave it at. But I believe these guys want to go back to the status quo. That's what they want. That's what I'm hearing. He's educated. He's this, he's that. Everything that President Trump is, and that's why we're winning and he's kicking butt. We can't go back to the status quo. He's nice. He's presidential. He's this, whatever. Kick rocks. I want a fighter who's going to continue to punch and keep moving this America on the right track.
Adrian, those are great points all around. And if there's that guy that you're talking about that has a plane and a helicopter with his name on the side, doesn't need to fundraise and can take kids for rides at the Iowa State Fair, bring him on. I think he would have the upper hand. I'd be with you all the way.
You can be a fighter and still look good in a suit.
We got to go. We got to get out. I got to get out. I want to thank everybody. Adrian, thank you for the call. Adrian, don't forget to vote in my straw poll. You get it on johnfredericksradio.com. And don't forget to vote. Talking is cheap, but you got to go vote in the straw poll. And obviously, it sounds like you're for Rubio. You can rank them 1 to 11 because, as everybody knows, I'm in favor of Republicans having the option to choose ranked choice voting in their nominating process if they so choose to do that. Sometimes, like in Virginia with Youngkin, it can be very, very effective. And had we had it in Pennsylvania, you would have been talking to Senator Mehmet Oz, my best friend. So I'm still pissed about that. But it's all good. Michael Patrick Leahy coming up next. I want to thank Dan Oxner, Chris McGowan, Colonel Brian Miller, Chris Hupke, Don Cass, and all of our fans and listeners. Thank you. We'll be somewhere tomorrow in Iowa. I have no idea where. Michael Patrick Leahy next.